Can you really ruin a whole guitar adjusting the truss rod? Unfortunately, yes you can, but you can also make a guitar more playable with proper truss rod adjustment, and it's something you needn't be afraid of if you approach it safely. Hello guitar lovers, this is Sean from Hancock Guitars, here today to talk truss rod adjustment. Before I get into talking about the disastrous stuff, I want to show you what a truss rod is and what it does. So this is a truss rod, one of the range that's stocked at Australian Luthier Supplies. There are a few different types, but they are all installed the same way into a cavity inside the neck of the guitar. They have an adjustment nut at the end here, and when you turn that nut, the rod bends like this. To tighten the truss rod, you turn the nut clockwise, and to loosen it, you turn it anti-clockwise. So it's like the old adage, righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. That bending pulls the neck in the opposite direction to the strings and straightens it out. And this is really important to getting the right amount of relief in the neck when you set the guitar up. So you want a neck that's not too bent and not too straight. So what can go wrong when adjusting a truss rod? The two things that can cause damage to a truss rod are using the wrong size wrench and over tightening. I've come across a lot of guitars with stripped out Allen nuts or rounded off hex nuts, and it's almost always caused by using the wrong size wrench on the nut. This often happens when someone uses an imperial wrench on a metric nut or vice versa. The wrench will spin on the nut and that turns the hexagonal shape of the nut into a circle. Now once that happens, there's no way you can adjust the nut and it's usually a big repair bill to fix it. So make sure you have exactly the right size wrench for your guitar. A wrench should slip over the nut or into the nut, and once it's in there, it should have very little slack. We have a range of truss rod adjusting wrenches available at Australian Luthier Supplies. Also make sure you push the wrench all the way in before adjusting the nut. Now if you're at all unsure about this, it's best to take a guitar to a luthier or guitar repairer for them to look at. The other way to ruin a guitar adjusting the truss rod is by tightening it too much. Now truss rods are pretty effective, so they don't need much turning of the nut to straighten the neck out. If you overdo the tightening, you can strip the nut, you can strip the thread, or you can break the truss rod. Any of these are going to be a big job to fix. So how much can you safely tighten a truss rod? That all depends on how much it's been tightened in the past. Typically, I adjust the truss rod during a setup about 30 to 90 degrees. So in other words, 90 degrees is 1/4 of a full turn of the nut. So it's really not that much. If it's an older guitar and it hasn't been adjusted much and there's a really big bow in the neck, I'll sometimes do more than 90 degrees, but I'll often allow a couple of days for the neck to move and do it slowly over that time. Now sometimes a guitar will come in and the neck's actually too straight. In that case, I untighten the truss rod a little, so turn it anti-clockwise, and that'll allow it to come up. What I'm aiming for when I adjust a truss rod is the right amount of relief or bend in the neck. I test this by holding down the 1st fret and the 12th fret, one of the strings, and check the distance between the string and the fret. I want a space between the string and about the 5th fret. That space is about 2/10 of a millimeter. So if you're tightening your own truss rod, keep an eye on how the neck is straightening out by looking down it, and be careful after about 90 degrees. If it doesn't seem to be working, definitely consider taking the guitar to a luthier or guitar repairer for them to look at. Thank you for watching. I hope that's given you the information you need to confidently adjust the truss rods in your guitars. If you have any truss rod related disaster stories or happy outcomes, please share them in the comments below. If you found this video informative, please support us by subscribing to our channel.